Okay, let's see if I'm live. I think I'm live now. Everything going well. Okay, let's see what time we're at here. Oh, 10 o'clock right on the button. Welcome everybody to today's part 2 of the inner shift. Super excited for today. Last day we really talked about, let's get into it, discovering the emotional triggers, what they are, why they hit us so hard as first responders, and how trauma rewires the brain. Now this session, the previous session broke down, science, and we're going to kind of review it real quick here, so I won't go too depth. Today, we're going to go into part 2, which is reset and rise, mastering the art of response. So it's good to know what our triggers are, but we also want to have practical tools that interrupt those emotional hijacks and take back control. So when you're in the moment and something's going on, when you're able to take back that control and say, look, I'm ready, I'm going to take back this situation that I'm in. I'm going to take back how I'm feeling, because my emotions are going to dictate my behavior. So if I can, think the thought, create the emotions for that thought, and then begin to act in that way, that's when you're going to take back control. But sometimes you need little tools. And that's what today is all about. It's just having those tools to really give us that outcome that we're looking for. Again, content warning for first responders. This webinar includes discussions around trauma, PTSD, and emotional challenges commonly experiences by first responders. So some material may be triggered or bring up difficult memories. So please, my friends, please prioritize your well-being. Take breaks if needed. Pause. Seek the support if anything feels really overwhelming, because you are not alone in this journey. So today's question that we are going to focus on: what do I do differently the next time I'm triggered? Is that a question that you've asked? Because often as first responders, we get triggered. We get things pop up. We start feeling those anxiety. We start feeling overwhelmed, because of something we heard or something we saw. But when you can answer this question, it means that you're paying attention to know what you've done now, right? Because when you're aware of what's going on, you're aware and you understand, okay, I felt like this, so I'm going to move into this. That's how you take back control. But let's do a quick recap of what happened last time. Very quick. There's about 5-6 slides here. So what we explore, what triggers are and how they hijack our bodies. Triggers are any internal or external cue, right? That's key, internal or external. So sight, sound, smells, words, or situations that activates memory, that's external, or emotional or a physical response related to trauma is internal. So if you know which are which, you can begin to work through them. How do they hijack? Well, your reactions are not just emotional outbursts or bad moods, right? They're biological responses to perceived danger. Trauma-trained brains can react before you even realize what's happening. And recognizing the signs of hijack is just the first step to regaining that control. Again, this is what we're going to be talking about today, is recognizing those signs of hijack so that you can take back control of your life. So today is about building a response plan rooted in awareness and not an automatic reaction. Because oftentimes we react to situations that come into our lives instead of responding to them the way that we should. We react to them. So when you are paying attention to those reactions, they don't become so fixated and you can create them. And that's what we want to do. But before you can change, you have to see it. And that, my friends, is where we kind of miss the point. We feel these emotions, we have the memory relapses, but we don't really pay attention. So then we don't really see it. So today, my friends, I want to begin to help you see those reactions that you're having, so that you begin to work through what you need to work through. So what is your default response? We're going to have 3 default responses to any situation that comes into light. We're going to fight it, right? As first responders, we always try to fight everything that we're going through. We're going to fight the trauma. We're going to fight the memory. We're going to fight whatever it is. But then afterwards, what do? We flight, right? As first responders, we're the first in, last out, always carrying more than the gear, right? We'll always come out of each situation, each event that we've gone through. We always carry more out than we carry in. And it's more of emotional than we do when we go. And then finally is freeze, right? We freeze. And it's not about hesitation. It's about the nervous system taking over. Your nervous system is there to protect you, right? Do you lash out? Do you shut down or isolate or numb out? How do you respond to trauma? What is your default response? And when you begin to understand this and know what your default response is, that's when you can begin to create that outcome and create that life that we're wanting. Because these responses, like I've said, my friends, are not failures. They're patterns. They're patterns that your body goes, when this happens, I'm going to respond this way. And that's a great thing to do. That's a great thing to do and to understand. And it'll help you create the outcome that you're looking for. But before you can do something differently, you need to know what you're doing right now. You need to understand my reactions right now. Do I fight when maybe I should be flight? Or do I freeze in a situation when I need to really take up my armor and fight this inner battle that I'm having? What is your default response? So I want you to ask you this question real quick right now. So think of a recent trigger and don't go anything crazy, right? Like I said, we're protecting our mind. So think of a recent trigger and what did you do, right? A recent trigger that I've had is I had to do an escort. And for those who've been on here before, you know that hospitals, because of my past and losing my son and spending so much time in hospitals, that's a trigger for me. So think of a recent trigger. So I got triggered knowing that I was going on this escort. My heart started pounding. I got total, like, I don't want to say anxiety, but I just got an uncomfortable feeling. So what did I do? Because I've been doing this for a little while, I did some tactical breathing, which is in for 4, hold for 4, out for 4, right? And then you do this repeated 4 times. And what did it cost me? Me, nothing, because again, I've been working through this. But I know people that lose time because they're like, I can't do this. I can't. I coached a client once and she was absolutely amazing. And she became so triggered that she wasn't able to leave her house. But over time, so it cost her time. It cost her emotions to be able to go out and serve the way she wanted to serve because it attacked her emotional. It attacked her relationally and it attacked her physically. So when you know, okay, when I have a trigger, this is how I react. That is when you can begin to go, okay, I'm going to shift this. And that's what today is all about. So the reset framework. So the tactical plan for emotional interruption. The framework is your step-by-step guide that's going to move you from reaction to resilience. Because my friends, you can't always prevent a trigger, but you can prepare your response. And that's what we want to do today. We want to prepare that response so that when a trigger does hit us, we go, okay, look, I understand that I can't prevent this. It's part of my journey. It's part of my memory. It's part of my body's nervous system responding to something. And that's fine. And when we accept something as being fine and okay, that's when we go, okay, it's good, but I'm going to respond to it in the way that I prepared. Because the first responders, we go to training and we prepare for those situations. We prepare for those fights. We prepare for those certain fires. Maybe we're a paramedic that's prepared for that situation and how we're going to react. We're going to do an IV. We're going to, whatever it is. I'm not a paramedic, so I don't really know the answer to that. But you're going to prepare how you respond. But then when it comes to our mindset, we're so ill prepared that we lose that battle almost every time. So let's prepare today for that battle. So number 1 is to recognize the trigger, right? What set me off? So what this means is the first step is awareness. When you know what set you off, if you don't recognize your trigger, you're going to stay in autopilot. Your body's going to be like, no, I don't even recognize I'm having a trigger, so I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing. Now, the step is about naming what's happening internally or externally. So what are some things that we can name, right? Here's some examples as first responders. The sound of a siren, right? I was triggered by that sound of a siren today. Very simple to name it, right? A certain phrase during a call or debrief, right? I know that I've been to a few funerals, and when they do that last call on the radio, oh, man, my friends, that really gets me. Even thinking about it right now is kind of triggering an emotion because it overwhelms just that last call, right? The silence after an intense situation. You're fighting, you're going, and then there's that calmness when you have to write your reports, and you don't most times, my friends, we go and we just write a report. We're like, okay, we're done that scene. We're gonna write a reports, and then we're gonna just move on. We don't take time for ourselves in there, which is what is so important, because that is a prep mode for that next phase. Maybe a smell or a uniform that brings you back. Each reset step is backed by a tool that you can practice. So write down these top 3 triggers. So there's some tools that you can use to support this, which again, you'll have access to: a trigger log, the body cues, and am I reacting to this situation, or to do something that reminds me of. So we got to figure that out. Second, number 2, my friends, is to engage the breath and body. When you're responding to a situation, your adrenaline goes up, your heartbeat goes fast, your breath goes quick. So what we need to do is we need to interrupt this. And we need to do that by breathing calmly, and we need to reclaim and calm your amygdala, which is your fight, flight, or freeze response. We calm that, and it's going to help your prefrontal cortex, which is your decision-making part of your brain, come back online. And when you do this, it's going to help in that stressful situations, because breathing is the fastest way to regulate your nervous system. You know, I've said this before, is when boxers or MMA fighters get in the ring and they're fighting and their adrenaline's up, and then the fight's done and it's like the whistle blows or the bell rings and they go into their corner, they have to kind of reset their nervous system before they get back into their fight. And the way they do this is through tactical breathing, right? So as a first responder who gets triggered, doing tactical breathing and bringing yourself back into the calmness of the moment, that is when it's going to help you shift into that next area. So I breathe, therefore I have a choice, meaning you take that pause before you move on to that next area or that next situation. Then we get into shifting the story. Get out of your head and into your body. What's this mean? Okay, so you've changed your physical or mental state so you can respond differently, right? This step bridges, right? So you got to get out of your head. Your head's going to tell you things. Your head makes up parts of the story that aren't true because you've been triggered by something. This is why it's so important, my friends, to journal down traumatic events or even things that you don't even think would hit you. So you have a traumatic event or a situation, and I do this anytime I have a stressful event at work or even at home. I write down exactly point form notes. This is how it went. This is how I felt. This is what I did. And then when I'm triggered, 2-3 months down the road, because PTSD doesn't always happen overnight. It happens in the future. You can have a trigger 90 days after the event. You're like, why am I being triggered by this? And it's like, okay, I remember an event that hit me, and I'm going to go back and I'm going to read through that, my point form notes. And I'm like, okay, I did this. This is what happened. And then when you do that, it reminds your memory, oh, okay, so this actually, the part that your mind is trying to slide into your memory didn't actually happen. And that is so powerful. And easy ways to do this. You do the grounding techniques, which is 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, which is basically you look around, 5 things you can see, 4 things you can hear, 3 things you can smell, 2 things you can taste, and 1 thing you can, and then you take 1 big deep breath. Another one is to movement. If you're in static and you're responding, try dropping down, doing some push-ups, do some jumping jacks, just stretch your body back and forth, right? Whatever it is, create that movement. It's going to separate that trigger from your actual place, because what you're doing is you're grounding, right? A cold splash, put cold water in your face, bring yourself back to the present moment. And then even a verbal interruption. You're going through a certain situation. You're like, this is now. It's not then. This is now. it's not then. And once you repeat things a few times to your mind, this is now, it's not then. This is going to reset your mindset. And these simple things to do are going to shift that perspective. But my friends, simple is not always easy because you are not your thoughts. You're the observer of them. And I want to remind you that if you weren't you, could you actually have your thought? We are the ones that have a thought come into our mind, and then we think about that thought. We are not the thought. So we have the power to change the thought, right? Reframing narrative or distorted thoughts with truth-based language, right? The catch, challenge, change, or what's true right now. So I don't know if I go through the catch, challenge, change. So basically what you do in that framework is you catch the thought. So you go, okay, I'm having a thought that I've been triggered and it hurt me because of this trigger. So I'm going to catch that thought. Am I really hurt? I'm going to challenge it. What happened? Did I really get hurt in that area? Or can I move forward from it? And then you're going to change it. You know what? I didn't. I'm going to change it into something more positive and move forward in this area. And that's how you do catch, challenge, change. Super easy. So example, if you feel frozen after a call, step outside, feel the air on your face. Name 5 things you can see around you. Reclaim your presence. It would take you about 2 minutes just to reset and go, okay, I'm here. And then with reset your story. And number 4 is to establish control. What am I telling myself right now? Our brains often fill in the blanks, like I said, with worst case scenario. That's why there's negative news out there. That's why everybody always finds things. It's like, oh, what's going on in the world? Well, this war is happening or this is going on. There's not a lot of positive things going on in this world, and we fill our minds with that. So our brains and our mindset goes, okay, everything's bad then. So I'm going to just keep filling these holes that I have about this event that I've been triggered by with something more worse, with the worst case scenario. Now, as an example, worst case scenarios, and I know a lot of us have done it, is that, oh, my loved one's been in a car accident because they're 2 minutes late, right? I know I've gone down that road numerous times. My wife will go out to the store and she'll be like, yeah, no, I'll be a couple hours. Okay. And then it's like 2.5 hours or 3 hours. And it's like, oh my gosh, okay, she's now in a car accident. She's probably in the hospital. She could be dead. And I'm like, oh my gosh, relax, right? There's probably absolutely nothing wrong with her. She probably hit traffic, or maybe she's buying me something, right? That's normally the situation. So what we have to do is we have to step into that place, and you have to reestablish control. And this helps you separate fact from fear and memory from current reality. So here's some quick questions to ask yourself to get yourself back into the moment and to reestablish control. Is this actually happening right now? Or is it just reminding me of something? Second part is, what else could be true about the situation? And third is, am I assuming intent or reading into tone? Now, we often do that when we're speaking with somebody, right? We have a conversation with someone and they say something in a certain tone. And we're like, well, is that what they mean? Or are they just being belittling to me? And again, this will show us what we're reading into. So here's an example thought frame. I'm not in danger. I'm just uncomfortable. Or even, they're not attacking me. They're stressed too, because we're all stressed in this world. So here's the goal for this: how to establish control. You're going to challenge the old survival narrative with a new truth. So any of these, you reframe them. Control the controllable with the next choice, because we can't control everything coming in our life, but we can control what we do with what comes into our life. Making one small empowering decision: step outside, text a peer, hydrate, take a break, reclaim a sense of agency in that moment. You may not have control of the situation that's going on, my friends, but you have control on what you can do in that situation. And the 5 is to take that intentional action. Now you're going to respond with purpose. What's this mean? You've reclaimed your system. You've calmed your system, reclaimed it. You've calmed your system, and you clarify your reality. Right now it's time to choose what to do next. So we've calmed down. We've catch the thought, we challenge it. Now what we're going to do, you don't need to master every step, right? We often find that we need to do that. So example is, you speak clearly and calmly. Remove yourself from the situation temporarily to reset. Use a reset phase. I need a minute, right? Return later with a clearer head and ground yourself and continue the task with composure. The mantra, right? I don't have to match the chaos. I can bring the calm. I don't have to match the chaos. I can bring the calm. And a lot of times we do. We try to match that adrenaline. It's like when they are angry at us, I'm going to be angrier. And then they get angrier. And then you get angrier. And it doesn't solve anything. But again, you don't need to master all 5 of these steps overnight, right? Even using one of these can change everything. The reset framework is your tactical plan, not just for your job, but for your life. And that's what we're going for, my friends. So here's the scenario. 3 of the different scenarios that you just pick one that you may relate to and then spend 5 minutes. I'm not going to do it on here, but again, this is in a workbook that I'm going to give you at the end. So you've been yelled at by your supervisor and your chest tightens. We all hate being yelled at. And we're like, oh, either we're going to fight this guy or female or whatever, our supervisor, we're going to fight them. Or we're going to freeze and be like, oh, yeah. Or we're going to run away, right? Maybe you hear a loud sound that reminds you of a traumatic call. And I know that we've all been on that one. Or your partner shuts down emotionally and you take it personally. We don't have control over what other people do. So we have to try to work through that. But we've all felt one of these emotions. So how are you going to respond to these? You're going to rehearse the shift. So what's your normal response, right? Question 1, how do you respond to being yelled at by your boss? Or maybe you have that traumatic call or your partner shuts down. Whichever one you choose, what's your normal response? How do you respond to that? Is it a fight? Is it a flight? Or is it a freeze response? What do you do? And what could you do differently? How would you want to actually respond? If you were to stem back from the situation that you are responding to and look at it from a third person view, so you see yourself having, I'll focus on the being yelled at by your boss. So you see a coworker right now being yelled at by their boss, and it's also your boss. What would my normal response be to that situation, right? Let's armchair quarterback this. And then you go, okay, I would normally respond like this. I want to punch the guy in the face, let's say. Okay. Is that a good response? Probably not. So what could you do differently? Well, I could understand that maybe my boss is under stress, and that is why they're yelling at me. Maybe it's a situation that they're having in their own life. I know that what I did today didn't warrant having my boss scream at me the way that they are. So there's something else going on. Okay. And which reset tool fits the situation? So which one are you going to use? And then you just work through that. And again, even a 1% change in response is a big deal, right? Just imagine if you walk towards a journey that you're going for, right? You just want to go somewhere in your life and you're working towards this journey and you take one single step forward. Are you closer to that journey? Absolutely you are. You're one step closer. And just think about taking one step every single day for a full year. You are now 365 steps closer to that event that you want to get to. My friends, we don't need to solve everything overnight. And this is often when we fight. We fight with ourselves going, man, I'm just not getting better. And I do that all the time. You know, I battle myself when I want to go work out and when I want to hit the gym. I'm like, I don't want to do it today. It's like, just get to the gym and you're beginning to work out, right? Just get that one step closer. And this will change your life. So here's some option tools, reset tools that you can use. So this is for part 3, which reset tools fit the best situation. Number 3, recognize, write down your top 3 triggers, right? What are some things that trigger you? Engage in that box breathing or tactical breathing. Inhale for 4, hold for 4, exhale for 4, hold for 4. Do this 4 times. Maybe you want to shift. Maybe you want to move your body, splash some water in your face. Again, do the grounding technique. Bring yourself into that present moment. Evaluate. Ask, is this really happening right now? Or is this a memory? And then speak clearly, step back, apply self-talk mantra. So pick one of these reset tools to respond to the situation, the normal response, how you could do it, and then reset it. Some days, self-care feels like trying to tie your boots with 3 arms. Awkward, overwhelming, and unnatural. But it's still worth doing because every knot you make is one step closer to holding yourself together. And that's what we're trying to do, my friends. We're trying to make it to the other side. We're trying to hold ourselves together so that we can make it from the surviving, just, oh man, I just want to make it through today, into waking up in the morning and going, I'm so excited that I'm alive and that I get to face this journey. So here's a morning ritual because you want to build a foundation. You want to have something that sets you off every morning. You go, okay, here's my morning ritual. Here's a very simple one that you can do, right? It doesn't start with a moment of crisis. It starts with practicing every day. Because when you're in the fight, flight, or freeze response, you don't want to be like, okay, I'm ready in this battle, but I'm going to set a morning ritual, right? We want to do that in our off time. Breathe, set an intention. What do I want to bring into today? And for those who love journaling like I do, write that down, right? Write it down tomorrow in your journal or later today and be like, what do I want to bring into today? How do I want to show up? What is my intention? And this will give your mind something to focus on. And you can say, look, I'm going to focus only on what I'm going to bring into today. Resilience isn't built in the storm. It's built in a routine. When you begin to build routines in your life, like you look at famous, well, even non-famous, you look at people that are fitness people that love working out. I have friends at work that work out like every day for like 2-3 hours a day. They love it, but they didn't do it overnight. They built it, and it wasn't in the storm. It was in their routine. Second is find something to do after your shift, right? Note what triggered you. Celebrate how you responded. You responded right. And I want to say that to you right now, my friends. Regardless of what you've been through, you responded right to that situation because that's how you bring your past into it. You bring your emotions into it. You bring your character into it, and you respond to the situation. But the self-awareness, when you come back and go, did I respond to it? That's when it's powerful. That's when you can go, okay, look, I should have responded to it differently, and I will next time. So that's how you bring into the after shift release. Oh, I go into part. Yeah. Now we do a weekly check-in. So I don't know what's going on? Hold on one sec. Here we go. So you do a weekly check-in. So where did I respond well? Where do I want to improve? And when you ask yourself these questions, then you can begin to create that weekly, right? So, I was listening to something the other day, and it's like, when you have good moments, you begin to have good days. When you have good days, you begin to have good weeks. When you have good weeks, you begin to have good months. And when you have good months, then you begin to have good years. And when you have good years, that's when you begin to have a good life. You have to pay attention to each time. What do I do in the moment? What did I do in the day, the week, the month, the year? But we have to know, we have to pay attention, right? And that's just to do a quickly check-in every week with yourself and go, what did I do this week that did well? What did I do to improve? And that's why journaling every day is so important, because as people with post-traumatic stress disorder or people trying to work through different things, your memory is going to shut down or it's going to forget a lot of stuff. So if you journal at the end of every day about kind of what you did, how you respond, some situations, when you do your weekly check-in, you can look back and go, okay, this is what I did that day. This is how I responded. Was it good? Yeah, that was good. So I'm going to move on to the next, right? And then you create that check-in, you begin to build your life. And that's what we want, my friends. Now we're going to get into writing your personal shift plan. So this is your answer to this session's questions. So we're going to write down and reel. Write down and reel. I don't know what I was going with that one. But that's okay. So no one else's plan is going to look at yours, and that's perfect, right? Oftentimes we feel embarrassed about what we journal about or what we plan about, but it doesn't matter because no one's going to see it but you. And it's not about being perfect. It's about being prepared. So next time I feel triggered, I will what, right? Again, I'm going to give you a PDF that'll have all these questions in. So I just want you to think about these, or you can take a picture of the screen. That'll work too. So the next time you feel triggered, what will you do? What's going to be your reaction? What's your plan? And then to support that, I'm going to what? What will you do to support what you're going to do the next time you feel triggered? And then what's your reminder mantra? If you have one, right? Maybe you don't even have one, and that's fine. If you forget your plan, I will show myself grace by, right? Like I said, we're going through things in our lives. Sometimes we forget, but we have to be graceful to ourselves. Treat yourself like you would one of your best friends. And that's the easiest way to do it. So here it is. I'll put it in the comments here. This is your tactical shift plan. What I'll do differently when I'm triggered. And you keep this. Keep it where you'll see it in your locker, dashboard, notes on an app. It doesn't matter. It's a download. You can fill it out and just really understand what you're going to do and prepare so that when you have that situation come into your life, that's when it's going to be created. You're not broken, my friends. Oftentimes it feels like we are, but we're not broken. You now understand how your nervous system responds and how you can guide it. And then every time you answer, what will I do differently? You create that moment of healing, right? This isn't the end of your journey. It's a new beginning. With one thing, what? That's a big question for you. I want to ask you that today, my friends. What is one thing that you will do today, that your future self will thank you for? Think about that. What is one thing you can do today? And that's it, right? That's it for today. I'm super excited that for those who were on, who watched the recording, I thank you all for giving me that time. So next month, we're going to go into a different journey. And we're going to jump into this one, which is in the moment, a first responder tactical guide to managing intrusive thoughts and flashbacks. We're going to dive deeper into this. And again, I'm going to put in the comments registration for this. And you can click on that and just register for this event. And yeah, like I said, we're going to dive deep into this. And the more people I have on, the more we can really share this. And then the second part of this will be interrupting that spiral, tactical tools for grounding. So there'll be a workbook that you work on between these. And this will really kind of contribute and help with those flashbacks and recovery. Abigail, you are absolutely welcome. I'm glad you were on the call. I hope that you got lots out of this. And if you have any questions, I'll stay on for a couple minutes. I'll answer any questions you have. And yeah, we can just dive into really enjoying today and just taking back control of our life and our journey. And we got no questions. Okay, so thanks again, everybody. I'm going to end it here. Have a great shift. Have a great rest of your day and take care of yourself. Do one thing today, self-care, that you're going to do for yourself. One thing, just take care of yourself today. Have a bath, go for a walk, whatever it is, take care of yourself. Okay, bye for now.